Harry's Wife, Part 100.40, Downward Spiral, Press Piss Take. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I've explained previously in parts passing that the press is a mountain of material that they're waiting to unleash with regard to the Duchess of Delusion. She, as a mid-range narcissist, isn't able to navigate her way through the media, politics, etc. in an effective way as a consequence of her narcissism creating collateral consequences. Thus, there are many skeletons lurking in those particular closets. It's also the case that the only publications that speak favourably of her are either those supported by demented, brainless shuggers who can't actually see what she is, or people who don't really give a flying fuck about her, but they need to pay the bills, and if her PR agency chucks some dollars their way, they will talk favourably about her. After all, anyone with a semblance of brain power is not going to speak favourably about this ne'er-do-well, unless they're being paid to do it. Lining up against the supine publications, which are only there as PR puff piece organs, are many publications that continue to take potshots at her, deriding her, pointing out her inconsistencies and contradictions. We've also, of course, seen a greater use of the N-word, narcissist, as I explained in parts passive of this series. Now, as a consequence of the mini-royal tour that is taking place as I speak to you, the heavyweight publication that is The Times weighs in with a beautifully juicy piece, which lands blow after blow upon Harry's wife. It's written by Hilary Rose. For those that you don't know, The Times is effectively a broadsheet publication in the United Kingdom. It's not a rag, and it's certainly not sucking on the teat of PR puff pieces, a la Hello, Tatler, People.com, Town and Country, etc. Make yourself comfortable, because now you're going to enjoy listening to this press piss take of Harry's Wife. Harry's Wife and Harry's Not Royal Tour, and oh no, another podcast. Manchester, Dusseldorf, London. Can you keep up with the Sussexes, and do you want to? Asks Hilary Rose. For those of us who have had more than enough of Harry and Harry's wife, I'm afraid they're back on this side of the Atlantic. The good news is that it's not for long. If we are lucky, they could be at 37,000 feet heading due west as soon as Thursday afternoon. Harry's wife and Harry are on a mini freelance royal tour, no doubt, with Netflix cameras in tow. Residual benefit. Its purpose is to remind them that he's a prince and she's a princess, even though she isn't, but whatever. The thing to remember is that she has no interest in titles or grandeur, or at least that's what she told Oprah, so it must be true. Revision of history, lie. The couple flew into the United Kingdom on Saturday, reportedly on a commercial flight. They went straight to Frogmore Cottage, their former marital home in Windsor, mere moments from a wide selection of family members who aren't talking to them. No contact regimens. Today, they were in sunny Dusseldorf for the one-year countdown to the 2023 Invictus Games, the event founded by Harry. The Germans were keen to point out that the couple were private citizens, not visiting heads of state, so there would be none of the motorcycle outriders that Harry complains bitterly he no longer gets in Britain 24/7, not even when he wants to go to Soho Farmhouse. Happily, in Dusseldorf, there were metal crowd control barriers and police roadblocks to speed their journey into the city, as well as a visitor book to sign, and all the things that private citizens who want to live quiet lives in California could hope for when visiting Germany in a private capacity. Oh, and a red carpet and velvet ropes, because what is the point of being a humanitarian and philanthropist if you can't walk down a red carpet? They went on a Rhine cruise as well, during which it was expected that Harry would speak but not be spoken to. This may be a metaphor for his entire life. It's hard to be sure. Their first engagement, however, was yesterday in Manchester, when Harry's wife gave a speech at the One Young World conference. The conference promised transformative discussion over several days on subjects including gender equality and ethical leadership. The last time Harry's wife and Harry were in the United Kingdom for the Platinum Jubilee, they were booed by some of the crowd on the steps of St. Paul's. This time, they took the sensible precaution of removing the public from around the conference venue well before they were due to arrive, although that didn't stop some intrepid Mancunians from booing them at the station instead. No doubt, their team would cite the sort of security issues that make it impossible for William and Kate to go on a walkabout. Wait. The One Young World's opening ceremony lasted 2 long hours. They played the national anthem, of course, because how else would you open a random conference on a Monday in Manchester? Then the hostess came on and asked, "What's the best way to follow a national anthem?" raising hopes that we might cut to the chase before dashing them by saying that the answer was not a national treasure, so not Harry and Harry's wife then. Instead, Andy Burnham gave a party political broadcast about Andy Burnham and urged us to support the Prime Minister of Finland. I am not making this up. A rap started and ended with God Save the Queen. Then the stage went dark. Could it be? No, it could not. Instead, we welcomed a partner at Clifford Chance, the Chief Digital and Commercial Officer at Unilever, many people whose job title contains the word strategic, Bob Geldof and the First Lady of Guyana. Finally, an hour in, Harry's wife and Harry made their entrance through the audience, rather like Ant and Dec on Saturday Night Takeaway. Harry was billed as an advocate for mental health. Harry's wife was an advocate for something or other, while Archwell and her podcast got a plug. Job done. Harry looked bewildered. Harry's wife did not. They greeted various people, sat down. The audience went quiet, and then a flag-waving ceremony. Seriously? On and on it went. Everyone clapped the flags of Saudi Arabia, Syria and Russia. Then Bob Geldof came on to give a rambling speech about nasty autocrats and murderous despots. Finally, Harry's wife took to the podium and spoke eloquently and with great passion about herself. Tonight, the freelance royals are heading back to London, and on Thursday, Harry is expected to cast his stardust over another charity event, the Well Child Awards. And into this glorious brand-building bullshit dropped the third of Harry's wife's podcasts, along with the dispiriting knowledge that there are 9 more still to come. This week's interviewee was Mindy Kaling, whose name rang a bell. Yes, said a friend, but that's because you're thinking of Mork and Mindy, which is true. Kaling is a very successful actress, comedian, writer, producer and director. I don't do podcasts, she says at the beginning of the podcast. Neither do I, says Harry's wife, and my brain started to hurt. Kaling seems well adjusted, and therefore a good fall for Harry's wife, who pondered injustice in the world, beginning with how it pertains to herself. When I started dating my husband and we became engaged, everyone was like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky he chose you." In honour of our comedian guest, a recording of an anonymous man with a British accent suddenly gets airtime, saying that women aren't as funny as men. What? Who said that? When? Alas, we're moved on to how Harry's wife was an ugly duckling, or rather, not conventional beauty. Now maybe would be seen as beautiful. Good grief. And then a small chink of brightness opens up, the faintest of possibilities that Harry's wife, who takes herself so terribly seriously and demands that the world do likewise or risk a writ, is being lightly trolled by her own guests on her own podcast. Last week, Mariah Carey called her a diva, but later clarified that it was definitely a compliment. This week, Harry's wife gushes pointlessly and at length about Kaling's dress. That comment, says Kaling, will make me happy for life. Harry's wife complimented my outfit. Or how about this? Your life is so together. On Oprah, I was like, oh my God, she has chickens. Who has their shit together enough to raise kids and chickens? And Harry's wife laughs humbly, as befits someone who is raising both children and chickens. Back in 2014, a little-known actress called Harry's wife hustled her way onto the One Young World conference schedule. This time, she was the main event. What a difference a prince makes. An excellent article that lands blow after blow upon her, and does so, of course, by virtue of challenge fuel, if Harry's wife were to read it. But more importantly, what this does is continue to demonstrate that the media recognises, other than those that are being paid for, that she is a clown, that she is self-obsessed, that she is a narcissist. And now they are repeatedly pointing out her failings and quite simply taking the piss out of her. This will continue. It will increase in volume as more and more people are emboldened by this and are quite simply sick and tired of her. The only thing is she will continue to be talked about. Why? Because she just generates so many talking points through her sheer idiocy as a consequence of the collateral consequences of her narcissism. She really is the gift that keeps on giving and has been doing so, as you can see from the number of parts that I've created. She just gives you a wealth of material, both in terms of demonstrating all of the behaviours through the narcissistic dynamic, but also quite simply to keep pointing out that she is utterly unlikable, completely vacuous, and so easy to take the piss out of. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.